The moment! Flipping good question! Oh my god!
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Esports Talk Show. My name is Campbell and I will be hosting the show for you this evening. We're going to be talking about loads and loads of great things, but before we get into them, I want to start off by introducing the two lads that have been alongside me this whole journey through the Esports Talk Show, and I'm starting to like each of them a little bit more every single day. Coming over from America, it's none other than Paradox, this time rocking the FaZe jersey in the background rather than everyone. Slightly biased decisions, I guess, but coming in as well, beautiful polo shirt, Tony. The chest is out and everything. I am loving it. We've got Tony from Bulldog joining us as well. Going to be giving that opinion that not many people want to hear, but they're going to hear it anyway. So let's kick it off in this one. I have so much things to talk about. I want to start off by saying I'm not very well, by the way, so can we get some R's, please? Please feel sympathetic for me.
Don't feel pathetic for him. He signed up for this when he went and did an event in Paris, all right? You always get sick after an event. Come on, man. You got to step it up here.
I'm just not feeling very well.
I mean, I'll take the blame for us being late today and moving to Thursday, but this, no.
Yeah. So, can we just... Paradox hasn't just turned up late, Tony. He's moved our whole schedule for his own safety, for his own well-being.
American.
I was going to say, this is proper American, isn't it? Nowhere else in the world matters.
Yeah.
It's just
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's completely just turned up.
Rolls around America and everyone in it.
He's turned up like one of Trump's sidemen and just ruined our whole schedule, changed everything.
Sidemen clothing, look.
Stop affecting Europe over here, Paradox. Come on.
Hey, it's not my fault the UK left the EU, all right? Just come on.
True. What are you drinking anyway, Paradox? I saw you drinking something then. I want to know what you're drinking.
Frappe from McDonald's.
That's so American. Tony, tell him.
Whatever.
Men don't drink caramel frappes. Do you know what's in this?
It's good.
Coffee, no milk, no sugar. Man's drink.
Man's drink. Right, there's a lot of people in the chat. There's a lot of people in the chat questioning what the hell I'm wearing on my head. And it's a beanie, right? Because my hair is absolutely disgusting. If anybody tuned in to ESWC over the weekend, I will openly admit I looked like a butch lesbian. I honestly did.
Wow.
I'm being serious.
Except he got less women.
Jeez.
I don't know what happened to my haircut. All weekend I had Pato ripping me about it. So I do apologise. I had to wear this because I didn't want to look really bad. So anyway, what are we talking about tonight, guys? Let's talk about what's going to go on in the Esports Talk Show this evening. We are definitely going to be rounding up ESWC, the event that just recently passed. That one was in Paris. We're then going to be moving on into the insane Rostermania, which has been going on across basically since ESWC finished. So many changes, so many great things to talk about. And it would be great to get an opinion from you and yourself, Tony, in terms of where would you go with these ideas? You know, you're an organization owner yourself. What would you do in some of these situations? And then rounding it up towards the end of the show, we've got WUSKIN from FNATIC, who had a fantastic weekend. Complete props to him. Tony's managed to convince his boyfriend to come away from his spa day for just a few hours and come and talk to him on this chat. Anyway, loads of people in the chat. It's amazing to see loads of people in the chat. Remember, you guys can get involved. We do pay attention to our chats. Let us know anything about what we're talking about tonight, and you want to have your own opinion on it and your say and be featured on our show, put it in the chat. If not, if you want to use social media, go on Twitter and use the hashtag ESHUB for your chance to be on the show. Right then, guys, now all that bit's done, let's talk ESWC Paris, baby, the land of love. Tony, how was it for you? What did you think viewership wise?
Me, viewership wise, it was all right, wasn't it? It was disappointing for me. I'm not going to pretend like we got bummed. So I personally, I hated it. But viewership-wise and all that, it was good, you know what I mean? It got everything going. It done what it needed to do. It was a big event. The Just Dance thing, what they doing with that, to be fair, like...
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, Tony. I enjoyed the hell out of the Just Dance thing. It was...
You would. Look at your app.
So could you hear that music like through your headset while casting?
Right, so yeah, this is one of the main things that was like a big problem. So when Just Dance decided that they were going to like really hype up and there was going to be like some big finalists on the stage, all you could hear while you're trying to cast, I couldn't even hear Maven. So for like the second game, I hear Maven like saying stuff, and I'm just looking at his face. I can see his mouth moving, but in the background, all I can hear is, now watch me whip, now watch me nay. So I like literally can't hear what Maven's saying, which made it way
dark
more
as well, to be fair. It looked like you was in charge of the lighting, because whenever you don't see this, but whenever we start before this, Jack's room's always way too dark.
True. It is dark.
Right, and it looked like you was in charge of the lighting, to be fair. Unless they were trying to hide you a bit.
See, this is the thing. It's like crazy when you go and do an event like this. You don't understand what the viewership experience is like. Like, you know, you work there, but I mean, for you guys who watched on the stream, was it production wise good?
There were some issues. I would say, like missing overlays at times. Some of the switches were kind of weird, like going between scenes. ESWC caught a lot of flack for that event on Twitter. I'll say that for sure.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll throw something out there from Intel casting the event. The production team turned up, and when they spoke like 3 words of English, we knew we were screwed.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, oh man, that doesn't sound good.
Why? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's in France, isn't it? But like, why not get people that do it all the time? There must be people that can just go down and do it. Like, and wouldn't you rather pay an extra couple of quid to bring people over from the States or whoever normally does it?
Well, the only person I could think of is Kendall, and I wouldn't.
Why didn't they get right? Not being
Kendall's
funny.
Amazing.
Gfinity, right, was quite swept up with stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think Gfinity done well. Why didn't they just fly the lads over from Gfinity, whoever done it for them, give them a couple of quid and get them to do it? Like, chasing, because I don't trust them anyway. So no.
It also comes into like, we don't know what the agreement was. That might be something on ESWC's part. Like, I know ESWC put out a statement saying that they don't provide casters for Bravo stream. So if you watch Bravo stream, the entire weekend there was no commentary. It was just the gameplay. And then at times they were missing a spectator as well. That was probably the most annoying thing for me. Is just looking at one sort of. I know I was watching a series from Rise, and I had to watch Felony's point of view for an entire hardpoint, an entire search destroy,
it was
an entire uplink. Oh,
it was probably the most periscoped event, I think, like out
it
there.
Might have been.
There was more people periscoping some very important matches. I know I went on Twitter, and I think there was one guy who was not very known on Twitter. I think he had like a few hundred followers, and he had like 1,200 people in his periscope on one match. Like, it was insane. I walked over and I was like, dude, your periscope's like 1,200 views. He was like, yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like, what the hell? And I think that was that was Rise versus Splice. That was on a side station. Obviously, Rise ended up taking that one. But
do you think it might have been a massively periscope thing? Sorry for interrupting. I've done it on purpose.
Do you
think it might be so periscoped because of the amount of good games there are, though? So
probably. It was a stacked bracket for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So because there's all those good teams and periscopes now a thing, it's worthwhile doing, you know what I mean? Whereas before, you wouldn't get good.
Well, this is what I was thinking, Tony. Why don't the guys that run the event have periscopers that walk around the event and they periscope feed it into the events? Like, so for example, there's MLG periscopers walk around open bracket.
That'd be interesting.
The quality ain't the greatest.
Things to think of moving forward for sure.
Why don't they just have more streams?
True. Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna do that, just have more streams. Why? I
just got shot out of the air. Like,
the Return to the Charlie stream. I'm down, man.
Paradox, mate. They could have had me and you over there doing Bravo stream.
This is it. See what I mean?
Me just ripping the hell out of everyone. Like. Is he from England? Nah, rubbish.
So anyway, let's move on then. So the teams in terms of placings, Optic Gaming and Crim6's 5th event he was able to win.
Did someone predict Optic?
Do we have to give this moment to Paradox?
Right. I did though, innit? Everyone else was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I said Envy. They didn't do it.
Yeah, Envy.
While we're at it, did I not, a few weeks ago, predict that FNATIC would come good and do better at this event?
All right, I was with you on that one, though.
I don't know if I can agree with that because I reckon you just said that because you love them so much and it ended up coincidentally working out.
Of it.
No, it's because I thought naturally it makes sense, innit? They've just got together, they're behind everyone else. WUSKIN, I know, is a good player, so it makes sense, you know what I mean?
Talking about predictions, right, Paradox. I also remember Tony mentioning something about Bulldog absolutely smashing the event.
Yeah. Look, I can't help it, right? It wasn't actually our fault. Right, our captain, right, his thumbs got stuck in customs and they wouldn't let him through. Right, so there was nothing we could do, like. So I burnt it up. Terrible.
That's why you hate this French event. They didn't let Pato bring his thumbs into the event.
He won't allowed, mate. I tried to phone up, pretend I was his mum down the phone, like, this is Pato here. Nothing, mate.
Bulldog with the 45th through 60th finish there.
To be fair, I'm glad that some other teams turned up. How did we not finish? But we didn't even win a map. But we got.
I mean, you finished ahead of late night pillow fights, which I mean, that's kind of man. Some teams had rough weekends in Paris. I'll just say that. Like,
definitely.
To be fair,
definitely.
we only just lost the pulse, right? It was like 250 to 2-3 or something, and 6-4 it was close. And then I'm not going to get onto the millennium things. I was told a couple of things. I'll start to get irate. And you'll have more viewers than ever, but I'll probably not have an org afterwards. Or Neil will kick me, so I'm going to calm down in my view on the millennium situation.
There we go then. At least he gave a valid answer on why they didn't, place well. Completely valid. I understand. I do apologise for that happening, Tony. I hope it doesn't happen again at any other future events. But anyway, let's talk about that top 3 then, Paradox. So we had Optic Gaming, obviously taking it at the top. Tony predicted that one right. Congratulations to Crimsix as well. That's 5th event. I mean, since Black Ops 2 was the first ESWC that he won, and then he's won every single one since then. Coming in at 2nd place was FaZe. Now, let's talk about it because we're gonna have to, right? The fact that FaZe and what happened in map number 1, and I know it's been brought up a lot. It's all over Twitter. It's all over everywhere. FaZe were up. I was watching it from the main stage. FaZe were up 60 to I think it was about 14 or 13 or something like that. And there was connection issues. Okay, the game lags out, the game disconnects, and they have to restart the map from 0-0. Now, apart from the fact that obviously the mindset that would leave FaZe in is bad enough as it is, but I have to get your guys' predictions. Do they restart from the 0-0, or do they give FaZe that lead back? How do you guys see that?
All right, I think I'm gonna go first on this one. So that was one thing that I feel like completely threw FaZe off the side of a cliff, right? I mean, think about that score difference right there. You have so much confidence coming into that and having to restart from there. I mean, we always talk about mental toughness and being able to push forward in a series, but something to that degree against a team like Optic Gaming, we always say every single time, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. I feel like this is a situation where that happened. Not to mention there was a 20 to 30 minute delay in that series. You're talking about you're warmed up, ready to go, and then you're just iced. You talk about Aches all the time online. He'll just sit in a lobby and wait after a series is over or after a map. This is something like that, but you're just sitting there. All those people are in front of you. I mean, it sucks, and we expect these guys to come back and still play at that same level. But I don't know. This is going to be one of the biggest questions, I think, of the year is what would have happened if that map wasn't reset?
Totally. Tony?
Right, my point of view is this. All right, first off, if it's my team that's 40 points up, we should be allowed to keep the 40 points. If it's the other team, I want it reset. Right, and that's what it's going to be. Whatever team you're supporting, that's your opinion, full stop, right? What I will say, though, is all I'm going to say is at the start of the game, they smashed them. 30 minutes is probably enough time for Addy to wear off, and then they got bumped. Just putting it out there. It's controversial. It's what I'm here for.
Just leave okay, I mean... Let us know your opinions on that one, guys. Let us know your opinions. Get it in the chat, right? We wanted to let you know what's happening with this one. ESWC, what do you think about the placings? Let's talk about EU, though, really quickly, because EU had a good performance that weekend. Once again, infused, highest placing team from Europe. I think they ended up getting 4th to 6th, which is great. It's an improvement on what happened at MLG Atlanta, but getting there, they're getting better. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go past FNATIC for now, even though I would like to mention them, but we've got WUSKINs on later, so we'll talk to FNATIC about that, with WUSKINs later on. How does Splice look for you? Now, Splice, for me, I said this on the Alliance Desk. I said it's so difficult to decide who the top 2 teams from Europe is. You go back to CWL London, you'd have thrown Orbit and Splice up there at the top 2 and said they were the best. MLG Atlanta came along, Orbit not having a great performance, Splice not really having the best performance in terms of as a whole. Then you go into this event, Orbit, Red Reserve now, not really great, Splice a little bit better. It's so difficult to choose who the top 6 teams are. I mean, in your opinion, you take a look at Red Reserve and Splice. We think there's Rostermania changes coming up. That's our next topic. We'll talk about it. But what about these teams? Where are they going wrong? Why can we not beat those American rosters?
I don't know.
It's better.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. They beat us because they're better. Whoever wins is the better team. Right, at the end of the day, you can make all the excuses in the world, but the better team always wins. It's the way it is in this game. Mm-hmm. I think personally, I think they were better before they made the change. I mean, it's a different game, but I think Splice were better before the change. I'm not saying it's anything against the players. It just could be the teamwork or whatever. Not that I believe there's rumours they didn't always get on well, but I don't know, mate. It just sometimes things work, sometimes it don't. You know what I mean? And it can be your game. You don't know what it's going to be before. You see people come through, people not do as well. Yeah, but they beat us because they're better than us at times. And that's it. It's like, I mean, Killer's been a bit upset lately, hasn't he? And all that, because he has to go back to working on a farm or something. But, like, at the end of the day, he don't place that well no more. And it's a bit of a shame because I actually like him. He's got a personality, you know what I mean? But the EU teams that do well do deserve the seedings and that with people are kicking off. And the reason why Americans teams win sometimes is because they're just better. Some of them. It is what it is, mate.
Paradox, your opinion, really quickly. I mean, Red Reserve, Splice, where are we placing them these days?
Right now, I don't know. Like, both of these teams that look so up and down, I look at them on paper, I'm like, this is a really, really good team, but their performances recently, I have no idea what's going on with either of these rosters. And this is a really scary spot for this to happen. We're really like a couple of weeks away from Dallas. Right after that, remember, your Dallas team is your team for stage 1 of the Global Pro League. So this isn't the time for us to really be looking at rosters and not be 100% sold on them going into this, right? So if there needs to be a change, I'm interested to see what happens. But right now, I feel like it might just be a teamwork thing. I say leave the roster as it is, go forward with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, ESWC in a whole was a pretty good event in terms of from my casting experience. I'm sad that the viewership experience was average, let's say, for a CWL event. It could have been a little bit better. It could have been worked on a little bit better. But anyway, guys, we're going to go into our Rostermania talk now. There's been a lot going on, and I bet you can't wait to hear what's going to come out of Tony's mouth in terms of what he thinks of some of these teams that are being formed. Guys,
he's going to be polite.
He's going to be polite. Guys, check out our little kind of advert that we made for this, for the Rostermania. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are we back? Are we back live?
Yeah, we're back.
We are back
live. I was so in the zone of this amazing graphic. I love this graphic. Like I want it on repeat. I'm watching it now.
Is that the first time you saw it?
It's the second time I've seen it, but I really wanted to watch it.
I've had to watch it like 20 times. I edited it yesterday.
It's amazing. Like, I want to watch it again. I think it's... I was literally about to request to play it again, but there you go. Anyway, that's it. Rostermania, that's what we're going to be talking about. So much things to talk about. The guys behind the production line here at the Esports Talkshow have been working so hard to just try and get on top of everything that is happening in the Rostermania scene right now. And we formed ourselves a little document to talk about it. So, let's go in then at the rumours that we've heard, okay? Oh. And we can have an open discussion about these. These are only rumours so far. Not that we're aware of any of these have been confirmed yet, but we'll start at the rumours. Coming in at number 1 is the big one, okay? Now, I managed to get the chance to speak to Zero across the weekend, right? Mm-hmm. And Zero said to me, look...
Pro friends.
At least do the thumbs, Tony.
I'm touching.
Pro friends. I spoke to Zero, and Zero said, look, the team's not working. Somebody's getting dropped. I don't know who. There's a lot of stuff going on. Can't announce anything yet. So the rumor we've got is Zero's to leave Orbit and join Splice, with Bans being dropped and then Bans joining Red Reserve. So a swap with Zero and Bans. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you'd have told me this in Black Ops 3, I'd have said that's the stupidest idea ever. Okay, Bans was insane in Black Ops 3, yeah? Tony mentioned earlier about the Splice roster change and saying that they were better off back when they didn't change the roster in the first place. I mean, don't get me wrong, Zero is a solid player, right? And Bans has done stuff with Rated before, you know, working over on Red Reserve. What do you guys feel about that? I mean, is it for which? Right. Okay. Here's the question: which organization would that benefit the most?
On paper, you think Red Reserve. Okay. Right? They're getting bans. I mean, look at what he's done so far in IW. On paper, 100% I say that goes to Red Reserve. In the long run, I don't know, because like we just said, these two rosters have looked so up and down. It's like at 1 minute they're on top of the world. The next minute, what? They're not even making pool play from open bracket at times? Like, I mean, that's sort of a long thing to say, but at the end of the day, I really don't know where to put both of these teams. Right now, I have my money more on Infuse than Splice or Red Reserve.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of agree with that, highest placing team and that. I mean, you've got to think, I'm just trying to work out how beneficial these changes are for these teams. And it's difficult to say. Tony?
Right, I think this game comes down massively to teamwork, right, in my opinion. Right, you can have 4 people, as long as they're all doing the same thing. It doesn't necessarily need to be the right thing, right? As long as they're all on the same page, all roughly plan this, for each other and that, you're going to do all right. It's like when we see, was it United and that, with their S&D, they just go mental, innit? They're like, cavalry charge, and they're just running around, killing everything, like. And but it works, you know what I mean? And like that's what you got to do. So regardless of who's got the best shot or anything like that, if it makes one of the teams stronger and it's more their style of play, then I think that's what's going to decide what was the best move, not necessarily who's been even behind it.
I think the best way to as well is we've got 2Ks coming up. That's when we'll know what these teams are formed for and if the teams will work. The 2K will tell us a lot of things as well. I know it's online Call of Duty. We always talk about online and the difference and all that, blah, blah, blah. But it still will show us a clearer picture on what is going on with these rosters. The next one, I really hope doesn't happen. Team 3G to drop Wee Man for Zed. Now, don't get me wrong. The reason I say I don't want this to happen is Zed is a fantastic player. I think he's an awesome guy as well. But I just don't want to see Wee Man lose the opportunity that he's worked so hard for. We spoke about it, him being the underdog in Team 3G. And I think he has progressively got better at every single event. I mean, Tony, Wee Man was from our kind of amateur scene, I guess you could say. If he's to get dropped, where does his career go from there? I mean, it's difficult to say.
Well, let's look at it this way. He's had his fifth. If he does, I don't want him to because I've said on other shows I like Wee Man. If he does, he's had his 15 minutes of fame. It's up to him what he does with it. You know what I mean? At the moment, he's done all right. You know what I mean? Whenever I've seen him play, he's actually done all right. Maybe he doesn't fit their style or that, or they've got someone else to slide in. You know what I mean? But if it's Zed, fucking, he's unreal. We need a boy. But there's so many roster changes. He needs to be running around. You know what I mean? Finding out who wants him and that. Because he might be able to. He might be able to get another team. If not, he's definitely put himself in a position now where people are taking him more seriously. So it's up to him what he does with it.
The interesting thing is going into the next one, which was Imperial to drop Sam B. Now, is that a team that you reckon Wee Man could end up joining alongside Shane? And alongside the talented roster? Do you not know?
I think they've already picked the person that's going to join them.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you know who?
Can't say.
What? Tony!
Come on!
Tony!
Right, the thing is, I can't because I will spill the beans if I've been told anything personally, right? But I've heard this from another person and I don't think that's right to say.
So screw that other person, right? You can't.
I
don't name the other person.
But if it's someone that's told it to me, then I can do it. Right? But then
throughout this conversation, just cough and say a name and we'll pick it up later.
Tony forgot the name.
So I forgot the name. Someone in the chat said Revolto.
But going back.
Oh, wait 1 minute. Scraps is agreed. Mike, right, it's Revolt. It's Revolt. It
might be. That's all I'm saying. Like.
Tony, it's Revolt. I'm saying it's Revolt.
Well, it might be. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's going to be Wee Man. You know what I mean?
If the person who told Tony is watching, he didn't tell us. There was no hints.
He is watching.
He didn't tell us. I promise you. He didn't tell us. Right. So Revolt. Okay. No, I don't think it's a bad. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad move. Revolt's got a lot of experience. Yeah, he's got a lot of experience.
He's got a good chance.
I think that roster did quite well this weekend as well. Gutted with their performance. Speaking of Shane, after he was so gutted with the performance after, but I think Revolt fit into that team quite well. Let's move on really quickly though. Let's start talking about the Infused rumored to stay together. I don't think that's a rumor. I mean, that's going to happen. I expect them to stay together. Like I said at the very start of this, they're getting better and better. They're highest placing team at Atlanta, highest placing EU team at ESWC, and it's the places are getting higher and higher as we go. Now that's the interesting thing. Really quickly, we're going into CWO Birmingham as the next EU event, right?
I'm about to say you have Atlanta, Vegas, Paris, Birmingham.
Yeah,
it's like the side of a dodgy trotter's van, isn't it? Vegas, Paris, Rome.
You can just imagine as well, like in ESWC, we had like catering tickets and like full-on food catering with the place. You just imagine some fat guy in a burger van turning up going, "Food's ready!" Like, and all the pro players just coming outside to a burger van with their little tickets, having a fag while he's flipping burgers. But let's talk about it. I mean, I reckon, right, because it's EU locked. CWO Birmingham is. That is one in my eyes. I could see Infused winning. I mean, they're getting better and better. they're definitely at this point solidifying their spot as the yeah. Tony, how many times are you going to tell us that Bulldog are going to place in a higher position,
and then they just drop out of nowhere?
You can't even talk. Americans are not even allowed. When we come onto this, I want like a mute button. So when we're talking about CWO Broom, right, I want to be able to press a mute button every time he speaks. So this is what it's going to be like for the Mexicans if Trump builds that wall. I'm going to mute.
So we've officially heard it here. Then Tony has banned Paradox from talking about EU events.
I love him otherwise.
Let's move on to it anyway. So yeah, I think Infused definitely will stay together.
Yeah.
FNATIC rumored to stay together as well. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. We'll find out later. I'm going to push WUSKINs to give us any intel that he knows on anything. Whether he does actually drop it or not, well, we'll have to wait and see. But I expect to see them stay together. But then again, FNATIC were also rumored to pick up Madcat and Jerd. Now, I asked this question earlier on Twitter, and I was talking to people. I said, you know, if that is the case, Madcat and Jerd do join FNATIC, who gets dropped? And people keep saying WUSKINs and Sunny B. Now, is that just because Scraps and Tommy are big names, big household names in EU Call of Duty? Off talent purposes? I don't know. I rate WUSKINs after last event.
I've always rated WUSKINs, as you know. I think
they had a really good event last time.
That's what I'm saying, and I told you he would. That team needs to stay together, and they'll just get better through teamwork, and that's it. Like, and they'll do well. You know what I mean? And they'll keep getting better. I've told you they will, and they do keep getting better. It's just a matter of playing together as a team. Tommy's got all the brains in the world. The others all know what they're doing, and they should just be left alone. And I'm sure they'll just be left alone because if there was going to be any changes, I think I'd know.
The only thing about that is it would guarantee FNATIC a spot in the Global Pro League. That's the only thing I see on that. Like, FNATIC at this point, stay together, especially at the performance that you just had. There's no reason to change this roster. The only thing that I'm really sort of eyeing, 3G is on that bubble. I'm looking at 3G and Epsilon. Pretty much, I mean, you might be able to throw in Extrovert, XOAir, but if Weeman isn't in the Global Pro League, I will 100%. I will be so upset.
I just want to say
deserves to be in there for sure.
Looking at the chat as well, Scraps is in the chat, and he said exactly what I said earlier before we started this. There's no way Scraps is going to go next door and say to his brother, "Sorry, mate, you dropped." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine their old girl, their mum would be upstairs.
That's a terrible thing.
Thunderclap.
Yeah, do you imagine how awkward that conversation would be?
Exactly.
Mum, I don't want to play with him. You have to play with your brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Crazy. Well, anyway, I've got a DM, and I'm not going to leak who the DM is from. I'm looking at it right now, and it's a lot of intel in this DM, and apparently these are confirmed. So I'm going to read them out. Okay. So Imperial's roster will be Shane, Enduro, Revolt, and Brain. Josh is going to Epsilon, and Desire is getting dropped. Okay. Zero is going to Splice, and Urban is going to 3G.
That's a nice little shake up there.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Whether that's true or whether that person is completely baiting me, I have no idea. But there you go. What do we think of that then? So, Urban to 3G.
They're a good squad, aren't they, 3G? They proved themselves, right, man, funny. Like,
True.
If anyone had that about them, then I think that could be it. That could be it. They've tried most of the other people.
Yeah. I don't know. That's quite interesting, some of the stuff we heard, and that, especially the Splice change as well. So I think it was Zero, wasn't it? Zero going to Splice. I mean, is that Josh that's out then? Because what we've seen on Twitter, we obviously with the Josh, I mean, there was a GIF of Josh, wasn't there? With the waving Harry Potter saying goodbye. I mean, is that the Josh replacement? Maybe, I don't know. But there's so much to talk about, guys. Let us know in the chat. We want to let you know what you think is going to happen, what you think is going to change so far. Anything you know, leak it to us here at the Esports Hub so we can get it out for everybody that's watching. But there's so much to talk about. We're going to have to round this segment up because we have somebody waiting in the wing for us. His name is WUSKINs from the team FNATIC. We're going to cut to a very, very short advertisement break, and when we do return, we're going to have WUSKINs joining us here on the Esports Hub panelist desk.
What's going on, guys? It's Paradox here for the Esports Hub, and we have another top 5 hot, fresh, out of the oven, just like a slice of pizza. and I hope you like pizza. If you're not, I don't know if we can really be friends. Anyway, let's get things off going with number 5. This one coming in courtesy of Unique, playing some hardpoint here on Breakout. Already spotted 2s. Make sure this loading control is fully for his team. Spots a third one inside of the hill, and he's going to keep it going. Going to pick up another one all the way down the dirt street. Spots another as well. The guy doesn't even have time to react. Another flying through the air. That's a 7th streak on the side of Unique. Team running away with it. Props to you. That's number 5. Number 4, I'm looking at JW Bounce. We're going to head to a little search and destroy action. This one's going to be a 1v3. Spots one around the bomb site. Able to connect. Uses the overdrive. Tries to get away. I thought he was going to get the snap on him there, but he uses the movement. Bomb has now been dropped. So it's a 1v1. Will he be able to clutch it up? I think. You know how this ends, right? You're watching a top 5 video for a reason. Let's get some hype going. Spots him right around the corner, cleans it up, and gets the win for that round. I wonder if they ended up winning that search and destroy. Their lives are on the line, but anyway, we're going to stay on the same map for the next clip. This one coming in from Chrissy, as you already see. 1 down, 2 down, gets the scarab, goes high up in the air, spots the third, picks that one up, and look at that. That's 2 tasty little search and destroy clips. Speaking of 2, we're already on number 2. We've hopped in the time machine and gone all the way back to Modern Warfare Remastered. Look at this clip. Has the deagle out. That bomb's not going anywhere. K Blowy picking up the first kill. Now, just going to use the methodical play. See some shots coming in across. Not going to use the deagle. You're not Momo. Not going to get that one all the way, but uses this. Look at that smart play. Spots him, pulls out the sniper, picks it up, and spots one around the A site as well. Trying to go for the ace in this round. Last one alive on the team. So, is a really delicate situation. Going to try and use the frag grenade. Throw that one over towards the bomb site. Looks like that's not going to pick up anything. With the time dwindling down, looks like he's going to pull out the M16. Free aim around the corner. This is where you got to have your shots ready, right? And unfortunately, doesn't see anything so far. Will he be able to pick it up? Spots one. Tries to look around. Knows this person's here somewhere. There we go. Here goes the engagement inside. K Blowy picks that one up. That leaves it at a 1v1. Time's dwindling down. Just 14 seconds left. Starts to defuse. Gonna try and bait out the last player. Spots him coming around the corner. You snooze, you lose. You took a little bit too much time. Steven's just like, I'm out of here. Like, it's gonna be 5-1. What am I even doing here anymore? That bomb's defused, and it looks like we are ready for our number 1 clip in this top 5. And it wouldn't be an Esports Hub top 5 if we weren't going to good old retaliation for some search and destroy. Jordan, congratulations. You already picked up the first snipe. Used the rewind to get away. And I love the thermal sight on the snipers. Look at this. You're able to get so much information, especially in these key situations. Spots one on the patio, cleans that one up, spots one down at the B site. And, you know, I don't understand how you guys are so good with these snipers, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're absolutely trick-shotting people in the middle of a competitive game. Spots the last one in the air. It's no problem. After those first 3, it's just a toss-up. Like, that's the easiest round I've ever done. The sniper race was completed. Anyway, thanks for joining us once again for an Esports Hub Top 5. Make sure you stay connected on Twitch and on Twitter. Both.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from our short advertisement break. Here we are, live at the Esports Hub podcast, talking all things Call of Duty and roster changes as well. But before I introduce our new guest, there's just a few things I want to round up from the Rostermania conversation that we just had. And it's a few of the confirmed stuff that we've already seen. I will just bang these off really quickly. So UAV Slaves was dropped from Fab. Extrovert split as Dens and Gefkid leave. Team Descend now looking for 4 after finished 45th to 60th. UX Gaming have split. Exilium Gaming have closed down as an organisation. Zealous Esports have split. Fuego are now LF1 after Trans has left. Rewind at LF2. Flight team split. However, it's rumoured to only be a pickup team anyway. Black Forest Gaming, 3 out of the 4 players are sticking. Obviously, we know that Revolt's gone, so it's going to be Carbines, Derail, and Subsist LF1. Black Forest Gaming, Red split up, Torres Dominate and Realize JT. Crypto Gaming are also rumoured to have a split. Bobisi and Hesk LF2, however, not confirmed if they will play under Crypto no more. And then the last one, Bulldog Esports, finished, if you're not first, you're last, are now LF2 with Pato and Chunk. So, let's move on into who we've got here on the show. We have got WUSKIN joining us from Team FNATIC. How are you doing, my man?
Morning.
Morning. I'm assuming you will have just woken up.
I'm good. No, I've been up for quite a while.
Oh, have you? How have you recovered from France?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
Few TVs here and there.
I was going to say, with all the travelling and stuff, obviously Atlanta, then France as well, you must be shattered.
Oh, the Atlanta one, I despise flying. Literally, I hate flying so much. The Atlanta one was a problem, but France was not bad.
Awesome. Well, I have to talk about it because as we were in the advertisement break, literally the moment that WUSKIN joined, a fangirl appeared in our call, and it was Tony. He got hot sweats. He started clapping his hands and getting really quite excited. So, Tony, tell me how you feel that WUSKIN is in the same Skype call as you.
I'm happy because finally there's a bit of class in here apart from me.
Wow.
You're sitting there with a woman's hat on in a red room looking like something out of 50 Shades of Grey with your man around this big thing sticking in front of you. And you try to get home over me.
I will take the 50 Shades of Grey compliment. I will massively take
Mate, you see my hair? That's 50 Shades of Grey.
That's 100 Shades of Grey, that is, Tony. But anyway, yes, that's right. WUSKIN has joined us here from Team FNATIC. Now, what a fantastic performance you guys managed to have that weekend. And let's talk about your individual performance as well, WUSKIN. You went absolutely off on the main stage against some insane talent as well. You was up against, I think it was it Splice? I'm correct in saying that?
Yeah,
that is correct, yes. So Splice, you had a great performance. You was the NV4 player. It was insane. How did you feel while that series was on?
The S&D, I don't know. Anyone would feel the same about that. I felt very confident after S&D, but like I say, when you lose
16 kills, I think it was 16, or something like that.
Yeah, 16. I don't know. We'd lost first map, and it felt like because we got like 130 points, so we had low confidence. But we knew going into that Spicy's best hardpoint map, so no stress. But going into that second map, I don't know. We knew that we didn't lose an S&D all weekend, so we were very confident.
Yeah, that's true, and that's one of the things that I used on the analyst desk as well, which we was talking about. It was the fact that you guys had not lost an S&D all weekend, and you guys were really hot in S&D, so we expected you to take that from Splice as well. But I mean, one question I think I have to ask you though is, what's it like being on a team with Tommy? I mean, he last ESWC, or a few ESWCs ago, sorry, he ended up winning the event with a French team that nobody had heard of, and his impact that he has on rosters. I mean, do you feel it when you're playing WUSKIN?
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. He's one of them. He makes you feel comfortable. He's not like, he's someone who teaches you. People have teams as a four, and do you know what I mean? They're all just as good at each other and learn off that. But with him, it don't matter. Even if you're better than him, he's still going to give you more than what you're going to give him. But I doubt that's what it feels like. It just makes you feel comfortable.
Awesome.
Than anybody.
Well, I want to just go to the chat really quickly because somebody is asking you a question. Somebody said, how did you feel about E6 shooting your bodies and why did they do this?
What can you say when you're 2-0 up? That's what I didn't get. I don't know, if you're down, if you're losing 2-1 or you're losing 2-0, then fair enough. But when they were 2-0 down, don't forget, and they're shooting bodies because they're winning third map. So it didn't make sense, but we ended up winning. That's all that matters.
I know. I heard your brother was getting very loud at some points through that one as well. All of you ended up turning up, and Scraps, when he gets loud and mad, he starts screaming across the stage to them.
Oh yeah.
And they were very shook, I think, after that map. But I'm gonna have to go over to Paradox. You're American. You've seen these EU talents come through. I mean, what's your opinion on WUSKIN, and any questions for him about his recent performances?
Thinking about the recent performances, I just want to get an idea of how the team of FNATIC has looked the past few months. Like, since you guys formed and everything, what have you guys been working on? Like, because I feel like it's fair to say that we here on the show have had faith in you guys, especially Tony. It's been girling every week. But could you sort of give us a little bit of insight to what you guys have been working on?
How can I say this? I don't know. Going as we teamed, I don't know what it was. I was so early into the game. I'd never scrimmed on this game, and then Free had scrimmed like 3 times with Swan because of this GB system. Yeah. So that was a big. I don't know. That was a problem at the start. Anyway, we had literally 0 practice compared to other teams. We literally just played GBs every day. For for a good few weeks. So that was a big downfall for us at the start. That's why we were behind, I'd say.
Okay, I think in terms of like looking at your performance at the minute, then WUSKIN, obviously your S&D is flawless. You can saw that from ESWC. But where would you say, in terms of your team right now, is a position or a certain game mode that you think you would need to work on?
Uplink. I'm on that point. To be fair, But I'd say uplink more than hardpoint. 100%.
And is that something that you guys have had a discussion about? You know, gonna get those uplink scrim practice.
Yeah, at the minute we just worry about let's take a respawn and we win the both S&Ds. That's what we rely on. But depends what hardpoint map we have. If you have like an hardpoint throwback or an uplink throwback, I don't know, we're confident in beating anybody on it. But when you get to like a breakout, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what is the thing with Europe and breakout right now? Like,
I literally don't understand what it is. But I mean, only like one or two teams can play it, but everyone else just struggles. You have like a massive lead on it, like 160 to 50, and you end up losing. I just don't know what it is.
Because I would say that's probably the most punishing one in the rotation as far as hardpoint's concerned. It's interesting to see how, especially when it comes to the international matchups, how that goes. And I'm really keeping an eye on that going forward. And I hope you guys do improve in that area for sure.
Definitely. Let's have some questions from the chat then. So Ethan EU, not Ethan EU, he's already asked the question, which was about how much Tommy helps you played. So we spoke about that one. Let's talk about the Sticky EU said. How does it feel being under FNATIC, one of the biggest EU organizations?
Still not sunk into, I'm sure. I don't know.
He takes it in his stride. He played for Bulldog at one event, for fuck's sake.
He's already used to big EU organisations.
That's it.
I don't know. It's not. I don't know. It's weird. That's what our pressure is, though. There's no pressure other than 4 because say we were under like I don't know, a standard org. I don't know. It's one of them where you're so comfortable. But under something like this, with like to the CS team, you've got something to prove. You need to win. That's what it feels like. Only you need to win. Not you want to win, you need to.
And does it help you as a player being under a big organisation, or do you feel like sometimes it can add like a lot of pressure to when you're playing?
I don't know. Pressure. I don't know. Pressure ain't a thing to me anyway. I don't know what it is. Especially in game when you're mid-series, I never think about it. I just feel like I'm not at home. It's normal. Yeah, never the same.
Awesome. Well, Stace Holbrook, a member from Bulldog, has said, how did you feel to get the offer to team with Tommy under an organisation like FNATIC? So how did you feel when you read that message or Skype call, or however it happened, when you got that offer come through, what was going through your head at that time?
I think I sat downstairs. I was having food with bro, just me and him in the kitchen, and he said, I said something else, Swan can't play. I said, what are you going to do? And he said, well, I don't know, we're trying to get, he said, he mentioned me. But I thought he was trolling at first, just messing about. I'm gonna lie. And then it just went from there.
It must have been weird. Like, so he's literally turned around to you and said, look, you want to come team with me under FNATIC, alongside Tommy and Sonny B, and you must have gone, Scraps, what are you eating? What are you eating? You must be talking a load of mush. But then, obviously, you came through and you proved exactly why you deserve to be on this FNATIC roster. Let's go on to another question, though. I need to ask you this one. So you're not allowed to include anybody, Wuskins, from your team currently. Okay? You can include yourself if you want. But what is your Call of Duty dream team?
All over. I'll just see you.
In all over. So if you had to pick up 3 people to team with, who would those be and why?
Myself, obviously, and then I'd probably go with Eamon, Carmel.
No,
we got him as second. Then I'd probably John, remember. Then the third, I'd be me, John, Carmel, and you go for a leader, someone like Jacob, probably.
So no one from EU. Is that because you're the best in the EU at the minute?
If I had to pick someone from EU, you'd probably say I'd say a leader, someone like Tom or Josh. He's a bit like to them. That's who you probably pick from the EU.
Interesting roster, though. I mean, that sounds like a pretty solid roster if you ask me, Paradox.
Yeah. I would actually be interested to see that.
But I don't even begin to think how that would turn up. That would be an insane roster.
I'm telling you, the past few days, I've been thinking about North American, European, like mixed rosters and everything.
Well, we only saw it once in AW, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, was that when
Optic Nation?
Yeah, and then we also saw Jerd.
And yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how that's not a thing no more.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony, would you ever bring over Americans to Bulldog?
Nah.
Reason?
Well, I mean, nothing wrong with Americans. I actually I lived over there for a couple of months. That's probably why I'm like this. But no, I just think like we should do. I like it's more of a rivalry, isn't it? You know what I mean? I like the fact that in the chat when it goes off, it's us versus them. Even the casters go on about it. You know what I mean? And that makes it good. Like, you don't want to mix it all in because it just gets boring. Then it'll just be like, oh, everyone's each other's mates and we don't hate each other. You know what I mean? Reedy won't be screaming at people and stuff like that. H won't be crying because he's crap. And it's just, it's just one of those things.
With all the shots this week.
Well, but it's true though. Reedy proper made him his bitch. You know what I mean? If you do that to someone once, then fair enough. You know what I mean? But like, if it's twice, he literally could have just gone over there and put his piece on his shoulder and gone leave that
there. So if any of you were confused when before we went to the advertisement break, I said Tony will give an honest opinion about the whole Call of Duty scene. Well, here it is, completely summed up for you in this one. I have to ask you some more questions though, Wuskins, while we've got you here. This one comes in from George Joe Hughes. He says, what was it like meeting the NA players? Is it weird? Are they open to new people? Do you interact much with them or just stick with European?
Depends who you're talking to.
Okay.
Most of them are to themselves, but there's a reason for that. I can't say that on air, but half of them most of the time just are in their own little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Depends. You know, the most interactive one who seems that he uses a lot is Karma.
Oh yeah. I saw that as well.
He uses a lot. Everyone else, so I don't know, you don't see them or they're on their own circle. NA players.
Yeah.
Karma, you'll see the most.
Yeah, Karma, that's true.
Something I will say in defence of Americans is that one thing that I've been talking to people that have come back saying, they've actually said that the American pros they met, all apart from one who's been doing a lot of weights, were really friendly to them. Some of them took them out drinking and that, you know what I mean? And were buying them drinks and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, do you want another drink? Do you want another drink? So all the joking aside, which I do quite a lot of, one thing that did come back from ESWC that sort of stuck in my mind was, and it weren't even like pros and that they were mixing with, it was admin players, you know what I mean? The lads that went over there and they were sort of making them part of the group, going out drinking with them and that I think's nice because a lot of them would have looked up to these people before that event, you know what I mean? Maybe thought they were never going to be out on the piss with them and they weren't, they was inclusive and I think that was nice.
Yeah,
that's the end of me being serious.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. There's your one moment. Make sure you keep hold of that one. But I mean, that's true though. Karma, great friends with Gingy, was having like all weekend, was involved with the EU amateur scene. At one point, like you were saying, Tony, about the amateur scene. I think they all went to the shop together, and Karma went with them. And it was like they were like also gassed that Karma's gone to the shops just even simply buy a packet of cigarettes. But they watch this guy on YouTube every single day. And the fact that he respects the people that follow him and are fans of him, I thought was great to see. But Wuskins, we're going to go back to you. I need to ask you a question. You've come, from the amateur scene and you've made it to this big stage, this, when a lot of people view you every single day playing Call of Duty. What is your advice if there's upcoming players that are in this Twitch chat right now? What advice have you got for them to help them get to where you've got today?
Don't stop playing. Play every day. I don't know.
Yeah.
I see it as like a being a footballer. So he plays it every day. That's how I see it as. That's why I play COD every day. Play COD as much as I can. That's how I see it. I play COD every single day of my life. I don't remember the last time I didn't play COD. The only time I don't play COD is when I'm traveling, like to go to an event. That's literally the only day I miss to play COD.
I remember talking to your brother. I spoke to your brother when he first got picked up. To go pro and that. And I said to him about it, and he said he hadn't put another game in his computer since he got the chance. It's just no other game. He just played COD all the time. Some people you see him playing H1 and all that. This was the last game. He said he hadn't played another game since he got picked up because he appreciated where he was and he wanted to stay there. and do as well as he can. And that was something that impressed me. Like
that's one of the main things, is and then obviously watch who you trust. Be careful who you trust. That's another thing in this scene. You don't see it a lot on Twitter, but deep down, a lot goes on behind people's backs. That's what I'd say.
Well, you take a look at it. I mean, a perfect example of that, Wuskins, would be Weeman's situation right now. I mean, he must have thought he was on top in that team and, he was getting somewhere. And then there's talks about them dropping him and picking up somebody else. And he all of a sudden, he's gone from hero to zero. And, whether
it's why all these pros that are getting dropped and snaked, and while you feel down about it, I'm still looking for two. That's all I'm saying. You've got to get snaked at Bulldog. Radcombe Batch, it's a good place to be.
Even thinking about that, I do want to throw in this one. I saw something similar to this in the Twitch chat. You guys are around 5th in pro points in Europe right now. So with this whole run up with the Global Pro League and everything right around the corner, do you guys feel more pressure from that because you want to make sure you're in that top 6?
At the minute, I think, to be honest with you, with what I've been told, it should work out better for us. From what I've been told, but I don't know. It depends what happens. You know, someone's always got something up their sleeve. You just if you end up on the good side of it or the bad side of it. If you end up on the bad side of it, then you've obviously got to do something. But if you end up on the good side, everything just goes as it is.
Awesome. Well, lots of roster changes are happening. We have to ask you as well, Wuskins. Next event is MLG Dallas. Now, how are you guys feeling going into that one? Obviously, you must be confident in terms of the fact that if these roster changes do go through, you're going to be one of the teams at the event that's actually been together the longest.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's weird. This game can either really work out for you, or just doesn't work. Just like that. For example, that Red Reserve team at the start of this game, you looked at them and think, "Wow, unbelievable!" Especially off going off like a street, you thought they were unbelievable. Which, when you go off paper, all four of them are at the top of the level. But going into game as a team, just don't know what it is. Some days it's working and some days it isn't. I don't know what it is.
And so, I mean, Scump mentioned something over the weekend, which was anybody can win this game. I mean, was that something you agree with?
Very true.
I would agree.
It's just like, no matter who you come up against, it can be so different. Like, there's a point now where you see an organisation name like Envious, and it's not necessarily the high caliber players on their team, but the game can just be so different that you could end up beating them 3-0.
If you look at United, they won what was it, Atlanta, and then 5 days later, they finished like top 24.
Yeah.
So it's things like that shouldn't happen.
Definitely. I mean, you know, you've got to take into consideration they aren't experienced with this whole travelling from NA to EU and all these different events. Maybe that comes into consideration as well.
That Chili's been around for a while now. He's been around for he's been around for very long. So don't know what you could say about that. There's a lot.
So I have to ask you the questions, Wuskins. You can include your team in this one, but I want you to give me the breakdown of top 4 or top 6. Actually, let's go top 6 EU teams that you'd say now. So obviously, don't take into consideration the changes unless you want to mention them. But where would you put top 6 EU teams? Who is the best in Europe?
Right now, obviously you got all your obvious names, but you put all the top 6. I wouldn't go this in off base, like this in level, but you'd obviously say Infuse, us, Splice, Orbit, what's his Elevate, and like 3G Epsa. That's who you'd say like, all them 7 teams there. On a good day, anyone's beating anyone.
Yeah.
That's how I'd put it as. No, but I'd admit it in EU anyway. This is a team just like who can beat any EU team is Infused. But when playing NA teams, it's a totally different thing. Infused seem to have be really, really confident against EU teams. I don't know what it is to beating every EU team. I don't know. But going off as a whole, like worldwide, I was beating anybody. I'd say it's a toss-up between anybody winning.
I mean, and in my eyes, I mean, this is something I mentioned over the weekend. I think it's great that we're seeing, even us as analysts and casters and all that, we can't pick, even NA or EU, who the top teams are because it's so different, right? There's so much competition. It's so difficult to choose. You look at Envious on paper and you think, wow, what a roster, top 3 team. And then they got, 12th? Was it this weekend at ESWC?
12 or 16.
Like that,
Yeah, and then you go, okay, wow, realization check. And then, no offense to you at all, because people would have looked at your team on paper from after City World London and gone, this team isn't going to place top 6. And then out of nowhere, Wuskins and his team end up placing really high. And, you are on a progression ladder. Every single event that goes by, you guys are getting higher and higher and higher. And that's why going into MLG Dallas, I mean, I'd expect you to say first, but I mean, realistically, unless first is your opinion on it, where do you guys see your place in MLG Dallas?
Everybody wants to. Everyone's mindset at the minute is obviously to win.
Yeah.
And win the event, but everyone's main focus at the minute is the LAN League. So no matter where you place, as long as you got place a team that's behind you, you've got no stress. That's literally all it is. And then once you're in the league, that's when you focus on placing wherever you want to place. What you want to win. That's when you can start focusing on your team as a whole. At the minute, you're just trying to make the league. Well, that's what we're trying to do anyway. That's what we did going into ESWC. We said let's all place 3G because obviously only 5 teams getting groups at Dallas, and we did. So that's what we're focusing on at the minute.
Awesome then. And last question I'm going to do before we round up this conversation and we do end it up with, but I'm going to ask you, Wuskins, who is your toughest competition? The guys that you look for out for if you go into pool play, who is it from Europe or NA? Actually, give me the Europe one and the NA teams that are so Europe, who's your biggest competition?
The only team that would be either whoever's there on a day is infused, but anybody else will beat anybody else.
And
With infused, we'd go as last match with us, but NA. Actually, I don't know. You could look out for a lot of NA teams. You know, they're all capable of doing anything.
Definitely.
Like your top two NA teams, like you'd go for obviously your Optic Phase and Enver, who you'd have to get on you'd have to play them on. You know, you have to be unreal as a team on the day, but everybody else again usually beatable on a good day.
Awesome. Well, that was an amazing conversation, fully in depth there with WUSKIN. So thank you very much for coming on the show, WUSKINs. But we're going to be rounding this one up now because we are finished here for the talk show about ESWC, all things Rostermania, and obviously the interview that we had with WUSKINs. Guys, we will be back again next week, next Thursday at 8 p.m, talking all things Call of Duty and looking forward and into the Australian event, which is coming up. That's the next one, if I'm right. Is that right, Paradox?
Yep.
Yeah?
CWL Sydney.
CWL
I know
Sydney.
nothing about Australian COD. I'm just going to put that out there.
I literally
more
when,
banter from me because there's going to be no analysis.
when someone mentions to me Australian COD, I just think Mind Freak. That's literally the one team that I can only think really that stands out in terms of Australian teams.
If they need any casters, I'm happy to go and cast over in Australia for the COD.
You're happy to go over to Sydney and be paid for it?
Just put that out there.
Wow. Well, there you go. Anyway, guys, make sure you do tune in next week. Thank you, everybody that we've had in the chat. Make sure you follow to find out when we do go live next. And make sure you follow us on Twitter as well, at the Esport Hub. We'll make sure we put all of the people involved in the show tonight's Twitter ats in the description below of the YouTube video and also in the chat. So make sure you go give them a follow as well. But I have been Cass Campbell. Thank you to Tony.
Hey.
Thank you to Paradox.
Thanks all the time. Sorry for being late this time.
Thank you to WUSKINs.
Anytime.
And that's a good night from me. Thank you very much, guys. We are out.
He's gonna look at the third, he's gonna look, never gonna wait, the ball hit,